So Wednesday the 19th of March, I received a phone call from my partner telling me that Jacob had been in a car accident. So when I asked him to reiterate what kind, and he said basically he'd been knocked over. So I asked where, he told me outside Liddell. So me and my mum jumped in the car and the traffic was already starting to build up around the area. So I got to the scene and it was breathtaking. It's the only word I can use. It was breathtaking. It's only things you see in the movies. And that's your life changing that quickly. So when I got there, the police officer took me over to where Jacob was, and he was already in the back of the ambulance by this point. And the air ambulance team were with him. And then they took him, blue lighted him straight to Manchester Children's Hospital. So when I arrived at the hospital, the lead investigator was waiting for me. So I asked him obviously what had gone on. He explained to me that basically Jacob was coming up the road on the back of an e-scooter, and obviously he'd been knocked off. Jacob was in scan when I got to the hospital, so I didn't see him straight away. I had to wait for him to come back from scan. So when we went into resource, it was hard. It was hard because that's your baby and that's the first time I've ever seen him. You know what I mean? Yeah, they did open the side of the ambulance door, but seeing him there, not awake, covered in blood, wires everywhere, it wasn't a nice scene. Jacob was really, really good as a baby, believe it or not. He was a really good baby growing up. Then he got to his cheeky stage where he was pushing his boundaries a little bit, like every little boy does. And then when he got into year 7, he did struggle a little bit more. Boys go on the wrong paths, find the wrong groups, do whatever they were going to do, and we were trying to pull him back from that. Then Jacob got diagnosed with severe ADHD combined with autism. And we managed to get him medicated, which managed to calm him down quite a lot, which was really nice. He was having his hiccups in school, but then he managed to get himself on the right path. He managed to knuckle down. The last 12 weeks he was doing so well. The morning of the accident I picked him up from his tutoring. He was in really good spirits and he was changing his life around. Was he the perfect boy? Absolutely not. There's no child out there that is perfect. He had his ups and downs, but he was pushing through. He knew what he'd wanted in life and he was going for it, and no one was allowed to stand in his way. So the reason behind me taking the photos and sending those text messages is because I used to text Jacob daily. It was kind of our way of communicating. I needed to do it for me because we were on a journey and I forget quite a lot of trauma, and I didn't know how Jacob was going to come round, so I needed to document his journey so when he come round we could sit down together and explain what we'd gone through and him making that split-second decision of how it had impacted me, him and everyone else around us. So the morning of Wednesday the 26th, he went down to have a drain put in his head because the fluid on his brain, the swelling on his brain, they just couldn't get it down, so they put the drain in to try and help that. Then the doctors and the nurses come in and explain that it had gone too far. There wasn't really anything else that they could do. They couldn't help him in any other way. So it was down to the case of get your family here, everyone needs to come and say their goodbyes, and along with the scene it was probably another hardest day of my life, like getting people to say goodbye. It was hard. So everyone come up, said their goodbyes, and then the doctors and nurses pulled Jacob over in the bed and they allowed me to get into bed with him to have my last cuddles with him. And I fell asleep, and then when I woke up it was time to say your goodbyes, and it was all this over an e-scooter, and it just doesn't sit right. GMP have been brilliant. They have been brilliant. The support network I've had around me has been so good and so overwhelming, because it is still early days. You've got to think we are only 13 weeks in. Do you know what I mean? So it's been amazing, and they're just there for when I need them. So Jacob's journey started and it just went insane, and then that's when I decided, right, well, I'm not the only one thinking that this shouldn't be happening, so let's put the campaign in place, let's take to social media. It is massive out there, like there's other people going through this on a daily basis, and I'm hoping that they can all get on the journey with me. And Jacob's Army then formed, and now we're at nearly 6,000 signatures within a week, which pushes me even more just to go, we're doing the right thing. Jacob fought to the very end, and so will I. So the campaign and the petition is to stop the sales of under 18s getting their hands on these e-scooters. We want to put e-scooter licences in place, so to make it safer and people are more aware on how to use these things. We want safety equipment put in place, and we also want to prohibit passengers being carried on them. My message to everybody out there is just think before you do something. In anything in day life, everything can be dangerous, and that's why we're not coming in with let's ban this, that and the other. It's about let's learn about it. So if you're going to do something and get on something that is illegal, think about that before you do it, because Jacob did that. He jumped on the back of something illegal, got on the back of that scooter, and he's no longer here. And that is a really clear message. I never thought it was going to be me. Jacob never thought it was going to be him. But it could be anybody.